And speaking of getting the message across, could we name anything that we've done so far in this academic year to really boost that message that we are here for the students? Can we name any of those?
Yeah, so we've been in the year group assemblies on Wednesdays and Thursdays, just spreading our message, what it's all about, what we're here to do. That allows us to easily get the message to everyone in the different years.
Hey guys, and welcome to today's episode of Ratcliffe Rambles. My name's Thea, and I'm joined with,
Jaden.
Ruben.
and we are all student listeners, and we've come to talk to you guys about being a student listener and just the process of it. So I've got a number of questions that I'm going to ask you guys, if that's okay. And yeah, let's get on with it. So, who are and what do the student listeners do?
So the student listeners are the people wearing red around school. We meet up every week to Wednesday, and we also wear our jumpers every day that we're on in the lighthouse. And we're just here to listen to people and listen, like give them advice if they need.
Okay, anything else?
Yeah, as student listeners, we all experience school life. I knew Ruben's here from like year seven. I just recently joined in year 12. So we all know how to like the challenges of making friends and like trying to like fit in with the group, but also other stresses like exams and like other extracurricular stresses that you can have. So I think student listeners are really good because they're always relatable to you because as students, we've been through the same processes.
I would definitely agree with that. We're quite good to give advice to younger students. So where can the students find the student listeners if they wanted to talk to one of us?
Yeah, so the student listeners are up in the lighthouse, which is up the RS corridors, and into the finance office, just down there, and you'll see us in there. It's quite a nice view.
It is a really nice room. It has a nice fluffy sofa and it's got like some nice fairy lights and some nice pictures on the wall. It's a nice little room. Um Another question I'll ask is what training do we have for student listeners?
So after we've been selected, on a Thursday we had a whole day training, and it was basically a workshop run by this specialist person who taught us through our skills, like such as empathy, teamwork, which really highlights the core values of a student listener and what they should have, but also thinking about our future plans and also past plans that student listeners have had and how we can develop on it and continue what they've done as it has been quite a successful program in Ratcliffe.
And could you name any of the skills that you think you've learned from that experience?
So, as I mentioned before, empathy, teamwork, but also being quite sympathetic as well, but also just having this really like relatable feeling and just trying to comfort the students as best they can.
Yes, I agree. And for anyone who's wondering how you get selected to be a student listener, because I know Jaden mentioned it briefly, is you submit a form, like application almost, to become a student listener. And then I think all of us were selected this time to go into like an interview process where you're given a select number of scenarios and you kind of like in the hot seat and you have to describe how you deal with that scenario and what kind of advice you'd give. So I think one of the examples I had in mind was, like a year 7 comes up to you and says they're struggling making friends, and you have to just decide what kind of advice you'd give to them. And I think Miss Burton and Miss Clark kind of decide whether you're suitable to be a student listener based on your response from that. But I think this year we all did get selected to become a student listener. I think there's about 20 of us. So yeah. And Ruben, you touched on this lightly, but could you give a bit more information about the meetings of student listeners?
Yeah, so in these meetings, we generally meet up, explain if we've had anyone come to us, and what like generally the overview of the census around school. Also how we could diversify around the school a bit more and get our message out and really explain to the students what we're here to do. We're here to listen um, for them and just, yeah, really just show our support around school.
And speaking of getting the message across, could we name anything that we've done so far in this academic year to really boost that message that we are here for the students? Can we name any of those?
Yeah, so we've been in the year group assemblies on Wednesdays and Thursdays, just spreading our message, what it's all about, what we're here to do. That allows us to easily get the message to everyone in the different years, um, especially as they're all in the meetings. It's easy and convenient for us, and it really helps them understand what we're here to do as well. Because I feel like in the younger years, they're not really sure what we're here to do, what support we can give. And I think by going to those assemblies, it really helps them understand what we're here for.
Yeah, I agree. I think going to the assemblies is less intimidating for the younger years as it puts a face to the name of student listeners so they know who it is they're looking for and who they can come up and visit whenever they need to. And just briefly talking about the going and visiting year groups, each group of student listeners, we're all assigned to a year. But that doesn't necessarily mean you can only speak to those type. You can speak to whoever's on duty at the time. But our emails are near the lighthouse, I think, like our email addresses for school. So you can see who is assigned to each year group. And if you're struggling but you don't really want to come and speak to us in person, you can always email us and we can offer you advice through email or suggest a meet up at a time that's suitable for you.
Yeah, additionally, we also did a whole school assembly where I spoke as well, along with our fellow student listeners. And the purpose of the whole school assembly was to address the whole school in general on like what our morals of student listeners are. Because I know sometimes when we go around to year group assemblies, not the whole year's there because some people may do sporting fixtures or just absent. So it's just well, like good for the whole school to just know and to understand about student listeners and why we're here. But we try and make our assemblies, especially the whole school, is quite interactive, but showing them like videos on where the lighthouse is, but also our board out just outside the corridor when you go into the ref as well, which shows pictures of all our student listeners on like who they are. So you can just, as you said, like put a name to a face, really.
Yeah, I definitely agree. One other thing what we're aiming to do, and we're definitely aiming to implement in the future years of student listening, is kind of on our days when we're off duty and we've got a bit of a quiet lunchtime, is just walking around to areas such as the library or the Lockhart Gardens or just around school in general and just seeing if there's anyone who needs like a friend who they can talk to and we can just go sit with them, offer a bit of support and comfort really. And I think that's definitely something we're going to try and crack down on in the next term that we're here and then offer advice to the year 12s when they become student listeners.
Yeah, I definitely agree about the year 12 thing. I think that they're very important as we will be leaving in a term. So of course they'll be the next student listeners of the school. So I feel like as like student listeners in year 13, we should definitely give advice to them and also try and promote student listeners more to them. So it just inspires more people to do the student listener into year 12 and like to better support those students come in because also you'll have new year sevens and new sixth formers that'll be coming in which will be facing the same challenges that I have and like all the fellow student listeners and all like students in general have. So I think it's really good to just give advice to year 12 on like our student listener journeys and but also yeah in general about student listener and trying to promote the campaign even more.
Yeah, definitely. Ruben, anything?
I think also for the upcoming students that are looking at the student listeners and think that they might want to have a go, I definitely think it's worthwhile for them. It helps in day-to-day life with your friends and friendships that you may have. It's like it helps understand people more. But I also think it's good for your personal development as well. As you can use it on your personal statement, it helps you get into unis and you can explain certain skills and aspects you can or has developed from the process of becoming a student listener. And I think it can be really good on like job applications and stuff if you're not going to uni. And I think it can be beneficial in multiple ways for the students thinking about becoming one in the future.
I definitely agree with that. I think we've covered everything then in that case. So thank you guys so much for watching and listening to the podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to subscribe and like. If you're listening on Spotify, make sure to follow us on Instagram at Ratcliffe Rambles, and we'll speak to you soon. Bye.